Hi! I have a fun card for you today, and I have some fun new stuff to show you. So I'm going to do a St. Patrick's Day card, but as I'm doing it, keep in mind that just because I'm doing it for St. Patrick's Day doesn't mean that if you switch out the colors and you take my shamrock off, that it couldn't be for any other occasion. So just don't make a green cupcake. It doesn't have to be a green cupcake, but I'm doing it for St. Patrick's Day. But I want to show you, this is the Hello Cupcake stamp set that's been available since January. It's free with a $50 purchase from Sale-A-Bration. But starting on March 1st, so this video will probably post on February 28th if I'm lucky, and I have a Facebook Live that I will do the same card on March 1st. So starting on March 1st, you can get this stamp set that goes with it that's called More Than Words. So it has some additional sayings that you can add to this, and it has the one I'm going to use today says, "Today calls for something sweet," which I thought was appropriate for a St. Patrick's Day card. And it also has this one down here, and it says, "with extra sprinkles on top." So you could put this on the outside and put this on the inside if you wanted to. I'm not going to. Or you could do the birthday wishes with extra sprinkles on top. There's different ways that you could mix and match these. Then also, this is available for purchase starting March 1st. Trying not to get confused. So if you saw my Facebook Live, you'll know that. And then starting March 1st, you can also buy framelits that go with this. So they're not free, but you can get them. So I have them all laying here. I'm not going to use them all on the card, but because they're only available for a short time, and because the stamp set's only going to be available through the end of March, I wanted to make sure that you knew what the framelits do. So I'm not going to show you the ones I'm going to use because you'll see those on the card. But we've got some that cut out some of the stamps. So we've got this little one here that will do the little heart that it sticks in your cupcake frosting. Then we've got an additional one that cuts out a little cupcake topper, and it also cuts out a star in the center of it. Then we've got this one here that will cut out your flowers. We've got one that will cut out, people ask what this is. This is your cake. So you can put the frosting directly on your cupcake holder, or you can cut out the cake, or you can stamp the cake. So that one cuts out the cake. This one cuts out the cupcake liner itself. This one cuts out the frosting. So you can not do that. You can just put the frosting directly on if you want, or if you want a cake flavor to show through, you can. And then we also have these two don't cut anything out. You can do a little border of hearts, or you can cut those out and have the hearts come out. They're teensy tiny. Which if I was going to do those, I would do those on some adhesive paper. And hopefully I will get some time to do a couple of cards with these. But this is the first March in 3 years that I have been here, all of March, because usually we take an overseas trip for spring break, but we're not doing that this year. So hopefully I'll get some time to do a couple of these, but we've got so many new Sale-A-Bration things out. And then this one, you can see here, it will cut out some birthday candles, and they'll go there on your frosting. So those are some of the dies. Now let me put these up so I don't lose them, because you know nothing's worse than trying to track down dies that you've lost. And then I'm going to use, I think I have 3 on the card I'm going to make today. And then I'm also going to use just one stamp out of the Amazing Life stamp set, which is in the Occasions catalog, and you can see it has this little 4-leaf clover. So I'm going to use that. So let's get going with the card. Super simple. The only cardstock I'm using is white, and then I'm going to use some window sheet and some gold foil paper. I'm going to fold this over. And then to know where I want to stamp on my card, I debated. There's a couple of different ways you can do this. And so I debated whether or not I wanted to stamp my cupcake in here, or if I wanted to stamp it here, if I wanted to pop it out with the framelits. And then on my sample, I've cut this piece smaller than my paper. On this one, I'm going to do it the same size. So if we don't end up liking it, I'm going to have to hop up and run over to my paper cutter, which, you know, won't be the first time, because sometimes I have to do that if I haven't cut something right. But there's not enough room here on my table to keep everything. So the first thing I'm going to use is this really fun sequin embossing folder, and it's got sequins that fall all the way down. This was in last year's occasion catalog, but it's now in the annual catalog. And I'm going to put it down towards the bottom because the sequins there's more towards the bottom, and I want lots of sequins on it. So as many as I can get, because we're going to lose some of them in a minute, and you'll see why. So it just takes one. It's one of the super fat embossing folders, so just one pass through. And we get some sequins. You can see those. So that out of the way. This may be a camp card. If you get my newsletters, you will know, or if you've seen my website. I am so confused on what to do for camp. In fact, I'm just about ready to let the girls that come to camp vote on it. Like, what do you want to do? So then I'm going to use, the dies come with a cake dome, and if you've been in my house, I have cake domes. I serve our cake in cake domes. I have terrariums, like glass covered dome things are my jam. I just like those. So this framelit set really spoke to me. I really, really like it. So I'm going to run that through. And you just want to do it once because you do lose a little bit of the impressions of the sequins. But thankfully they're deep enough that even though it presses them down a little bit, put that over. I have this to move these into. I haven't sorted all of my new framelits out yet. So it cuts this, and then I'm going to keep this because I'm going to need it. So don't throw that out. And then I have these two pieces of gold foil, and it cuts out just an empty, you know how it had the one that had the star cut in the middle? This is just an empty little cake topper, and then it cuts a stand. I know I cut that so it would fit. There we go. A stand for your cake dome. So run these through. Again, it only takes one time because they're just framelits. They're not super. They don't have a lot of detail, so when there's not a lot of detail, one cut will do them. Grab something to knock this out with. And then with the foil, a lot of times, even though it was just one pass through, you get these little nibbies. See those little, I don't know if you can see them. Let me put them on here. Because I know if you've done much, you've seen them. See those little dots? And I don't want the little dots. Perhaps you do, and it wouldn't look horrible on this one because I've got the sequins, but especially my metal cake plate, I don't want it to have dots on it. And it wouldn't kill me if they were on just the cake topper, but I don't really want them. So just put them back in your Big Shot. Just lay a piece of scrap paper and just put them in the middle and roll it a couple of passes through. It actually works better if you have brand new plates, but I cleaned up my table and I put my plates where they go. And if you have new plates, then you don't get any texture at all. Let me put it back up on here. Because I have a couple of cracks in these plates, and it has a little bit of, but it takes the dots out. So then you have a nice, clean, flat. So there's your little Big Shot tip of the day. So now what you need to do, put these over here. This is why on my other one, I just didn't like, it looks a little empty when I was done. So you lay this on here, and this may be a little too much. So I may have to trim it, maybe not, we'll see. So you lay this on here, and you get your stamps. So I'm gonna start with my cake bottom, and I've got Call Me Clover. Gonna ink this up. And what I did before was I took a pencil, because I don't want to get the Call Me Clover, and I just ever so slightly put a dot there where this was going to be. And then just stamp your cake bottom, your cupcake part there, and Call Me Clover. Then I've got my words, which are today calls for something sweet. Last year on St. Patrick's Day, well, I guess on St. Patrick's Day, I think we left the United States on St. Patrick's Day. Oh, actually we drove, I think, because we went to Ireland, and it would be great to be in Ireland on St. Patrick's Day, but it's really expensive. So I think we drove, I think we flew out of Baltimore or Boston, Baltimore, I think. So I think we were driving on St. Patrick's Day. And then I don't have a little scrap piece of white here, so let me grab one. I do need one more Call Me Clover, and I'm going to take the little, but Ireland is fabulous. It's where my ancestors are from, and I've traveled a lot. It was the first time I had been to Ireland, and I've actually, most of you, if you watch my channel for long, know that my husband is from Australia, and I lived there for a long time. That's where our daughter was born. So when I go to Australia, it feels like home. And I lived in Scotland for a long time, and when I go to Scotland, it feels like home. But there was something, I didn't expect Ireland to feel like home, and it did, in a different kind of way. So it was a fabulous trip. And I would go back again. There are a lot of times if I've been someplace once, I'm happy to move on and go someplace new another time. But I would go back to Ireland. But not on St. Patrick's Day, because I don't want to pay more just to be there. And it's mostly Americans that go there on St. Patrick's Day. Okay, so here's your cake later, and I've got it in soft suede. And you just get it right down on top of your cake. And you can see it just fits right up there. So I've got some chocolate cake, and then I want some dark chocolate frosting, so I have espresso. And that just goes right on top of your cake. And for this, I find it's better to overlap just slightly so you don't have an air gap. Especially when your colors are similar. Does that not look delicious? It makes me want, I'm not a super sweet person, but some mint chocolate, I can do that. Mint chocolate's one of those things I can do. And this just some cream de menthe. So what I'm gonna do, and this is the reason I wanted to keep this piece of paper, I'm gonna stick a piece of scrap in here. And I'm just gonna color this a little bit with some blends. So this is light shaded spruce. And I just have the brush tip because I don't want it to smear. I'm just doing every other to kind of give it a stripy party look. And again, if you weren't making this for St. Patrick's Day, you could do it if it would be adorable for a little girl's or a little boy's birthday card. Just do it in their favorite colors. Or if you're doing it for football season, you could do it in your team's colors. It would be a great like college game day kickoff card. So here I have dark crumb cake, and I'm going to do the frosting again, just with the brush tip and ever so lightly go over it because you don't want it to smear. It won't, you'd have to really, really press, but I don't want it to bleed outside the edges either, so just a quick brush. I'm doing lighter colors than what my ink are, so you can still see the pattern of the stamp through. And you don't need to overlap your colors. You could do this with a Stampin' Right, but you'd have to be really, really careful because they don't have, the brush tip isn't quite as wide. And then I have the bronze for my cake. So it's a little bit more of a darker chocolate. Part of the reason I'm doing this is because I'm going to be adding the window sheet with my cake dome, and I want it to really be able to shine through. So there's that. Then I have my little shamrock here. And I'm going to take the light shaded spruce. Oops, wrong tip. Just color that in real quick. The good thing about being in Ireland right after St. Patrick's Day is all of the little villages all still had up their flags that went all across the streets, which that just says Ireland to me. And I almost added some orange to this card because a lot of the places had green and orange. But I don't know, you know, the American in me just kept it green and gold. I'm just going to trim this out. Unfortunately, this is not part of the set, so there isn't any cute little framelit that's going to cut this out for me, but that's okay. If you were doing this for a different occasion, then you could use the other cake topper, or you could use the hearts. And there's just the individual little cake topper that is the heart that stamps as well. Or you could put the birthday candles, although I'm not quite sure. I wouldn't want to give it to a fireman if you're going to put your lit candles. You wouldn't have to light them, I guess, underneath your cake dome. But the possibilities with the cupcake and the new framelits that come with, that you can get with this, are endless. So if you've already selected this, since the celebration started, and you already have the cupcakes, and I know you'll want to add the framelits to an order in March, and you'll want to make sure in March. Now, because blends bleed, you can see here, this is why I kept this, because I'm just going to glue this right here, and it'll be just a cute little addition. If you want, you could run 2 of those through, so you had another cake stand to stick on this side. But that just covers up where it bled through the card. You could also do this on another piece, but it just makes your card kind of thick, especially if you're going to be mailing it. So I'm going to take this little piece here, just add it to my cake topper. Then I'm going to take one of our tiny little dimensionals. Pull that off. Stick it in here. Then you have the window sheet that I just cut, knowing it would be a little bit larger than my hole. I just held the cake topper that I had, the framelit on the piece of this window sheet and just ran it through. So then you just want to put some adhesive all the way around the opening, which would be the same if you were making a shaker card, which you could do with this. You could put some confetti in there. Off where I got fingerprints on it from where I touched it, and then just line this up. And then I have these are our every single time I use these, I forget what they're called. They are called, oh, I don't know what they're called. They're the same thing as dimensionals. They're just long, and you would think that maybe one day I would remember what they're called. But you know, I don't use them all that often. So if you were going to do a shaker card, you would make it a totally enclosed box. But because I'm not doing a shaker card, I don't have to enclose the whole thing. I will put the name of it down below when you see the shopping list. And then when you line it back up, you just want to be careful before you lay it down. And I should have made sure I liked the whole card, because, I mean the whole size, because now it's on. Yeah, I do like it. The other one just looked too small when I got it on there. So I've got that. So here we are so far, and you can see it. Now it looks like your cupcake is actually in the cake stand. So now add the stand bottom. Here. And then I've got my Champagne Mist shimmer paint and one of my empty Stellas, which if you've not seen me do this, just go check out some of my videos. I have tons of these. And I'm not going to add it to all of them, but to some of my sequins, just to kind of give some more gold to our card. And if you wanted, you could add some color first. I did that on my prototype. Added some green first. And then I felt like it really needed to do them all. Or go with a lighter green. I did a dark green and I didn't really care for it. So on this one, I'm just going to do these. You don't have to do them all. You could do them all if you wanted, because it doesn't take long and it does make them really pretty, and it does bring that gold into card. And then when you use an empty Wink of Stella as your brush and you pop the lid back on, then your brushes don't dry out. Okay, and then one last step. I'm going to take my favorite ribbon, which is the Whisper White tool. Open my card up. And I'm not going to do, a lot of times I do super long and fluffy ribbons, but I don't want it to mess with my cupcake and like compete with it. So I'm just going to do a smaller one. It just kind of, the card being white, it just adds a little bit of finish, I think, to the edge of the card. So I have this here, and then to pull a little bit more green for our St. Patrick's Day. This is the green ribbon, and it's out of the Tea Time ribbon. It comes with pink as well. So if you, it would be a perfect combination to do these, have some pink cards and have green cards. So I'm going to tie this around this, and then I'm going to grab, one of these has to be cut, yes. So when I do this, I'm going to take one of these down on each side because I doubled it over. And then I'm going to grab the green ribbon, maybe. It's all stuck together. I swam today and it's actually been warmer here. Well, warmer, you know, it got to 40. So I went out during the daytime and I swam. And I thought I was going to swim as long as... Not as long, because I'm not back up to summer, but I swam for longer than I should have. And now my arms are feeling kind of flopsy. You know, it feels good while you're doing it, and then, you know, post-exercise, like, yeah, now I just want to go sit in the hot tub. Because usually in the winter, I only swim at night when my husband can go open the pool, so I don't stand out there freezing to open it. So when you swim at night and you come in and your arms are flopsy, that's okay, because you just put your pajamas on after you get in the shower and you go to bed. But when I did it this morning, then I have to come in and shower and go through the rest of my day. So now my flopsy arms are paying the price. So you can see normally I have lots of this ribbon all over my card. I just want a little bit over here. So there you go. So here's the, hopefully you can see the shimmer on the sequins. That's a really fun addition to this particular stamp set and framelit combination, because I can see using it for birthdays and all kinds of celebrations to come. So if you work at an office where you often do cupcakes, that was, you know, when I worked at a bike shop and I worked at a warehouse in the office, and, you know, people brought cupcakes and we did cakes, all kinds of celebrations all the time. So if you're the card person at your office, this would be a great set to have in addition to your cupcakes. And there's the inside. And you could always be the party person. So there you go. I hope you enjoyed that. And remember, the framelits are only available until the end of March. So I hope you like that. Have a great day. Bye.